Welcome. This video is going to take a look at something called percent composition, which is also called percent by mass. You can also have percent composition by volume, and then we cleverly call it percent volume or percent by volume. But percent composition is always comparing the mass of one part of a compound to the mass of the whole compound, or again with volume, we'd be comparing the volume of one part compared to the volume of the whole compound. To find any percent, you're always looking at part of it compared to the whole times 100%, and then all of your parts have to add up to 100%. So expressing this as a formula, percent composition would be the mass of the element divided by the mass of the compound times 100%. So if we look at an example here, two common ways that you'll be asked to deal with percent composition or percent by mass is, first of all, if you were told you have 20 grams of element X and 5 grams of element Y, what is the percent composition of both X and Y? Well, you need to know the part you're interested in, and you need to know the whole. So it's pretty easy to see that 20 plus 5 gives you a total sample mass of 25. So to look at my composition for X, I take the grams of X, 20, I divide by the total grams, the whole sample, 25, and I multiply that by 100%. And when you do that, you come up with a percent composition of 80%. Now to get Y, if you're feeling confident about your answer from X, you could just take 100 minus 80. Otherwise, I'm going to take the grams of Y, 5, over the total grams, 25, times 100%, and again, I get 20%. And when I add these up, I do get 100%, which means I apparently am in the ballpark with both of my answers. The second question seems a little more difficult. It seems as if you don't have enough information, because it says find the percent by mass of hydrogen and oxygen in water. Well, actually, we do have enough information because we know water has 2 hydrogen that each have a mass of 1.01 grams per mole, and it has 1 oxygen with a mass of 16 grams per mole. So we know that a mole of water weighs 18.02 grams per mole. So then I could take my hydrogen, and the part of water's mass that comes from hydrogen is 2.02 grams out of the 18.02 grams total times 100%. Now when I take 202 divide by 18.02 times 100%, I come up with 11.2% hydrogen. And again, if you're feeling confident, I could just subtract this from 100 to get the percentage of oxygen. Otherwise, I could take the mass of the oxygen, 16, over the 1802 times 100%, and when I do that, I come up with 88.79 or 88.8. And again, when I add these together, I get 100%. And sometimes you won't get exactly 100. You will get like 99.98. But you're going to be within a few 100ths if you've done it correctly. And as I indicated down here, you can use the masses given, or you can use the chemical formula, which tells you the molar mass, to determine how sample weighs, your whole weighs. So try this one. Pause and see if you could come up with the percentage of sulfur by mass in sulfuric acid. So I need to know how much sulfuric acid weighs. I've got 2 hydrogen at 1.01. I have 1 sulfur at 32.066 or 32.07. And I have 4 oxygen at 16. So my whole, 2 times 1.01 plus the 32.07 plus the 4 times 16 is 98.09 grams per mole. So the percent of sulfur is 32.07 grams out of the total of 98.09 grams times 100%. So I'm going to be a little over 30% here. So 32.07 divided by 98.09 times 100. And rounding to, I can go to 4 sig figs, it would be 32 0.69% sulfur by mass. Here's another one for you to try. What is the percent composition of a compound with 20 grams of sulfur and 30 grams of oxygen? And because it doesn't say which element to find, it says the percent composition, that's indicating they want to know the percentage of each element in there. So with sulfur and oxygen, I see that my sulfur is 20 grams. When I add these up, my total is 50, and I could hang on to my 0.0, although it's not going to change my math. So it's 40% sulfur. And again, you might be pretty confident on this one and just subtract it from 100. Otherwise, 30 over 50 times 100% leaves me 60% oxygen.